Adam, it seemed like, as that game went on, just you guys couldn't get off the field. Were they doing anything different on third downs, or was it guys just not making the plays that were there to be made?
A little bit of everything, Ira. The first drive was good. The second drive, we gave up a conversion, had to make a fourth down stop on the goal line, and then from that point on, the run game get going a little bit, and the third downs, whether it was a chip or a screen or a missed tackle or a one-on-one conversion. I mean, there were a lot of different reasons for it, and I go through every single one of them, and I just went through a couple of them right there quickly. But the last touchdown was just me trying to create a play, and didn't put our guys in the best position on the last one. But there were a bunch of them in between, and I thought we started with the right mindset, and I thought, as the game wore on, the run game for them, they committed to it. I thought their quarterback did a good job of scrambling too. It was something I was concerned about because he did make a bunch of plays with his feet. And so, just a lot of things piled on top of each other. And, when the opportunities were there to make a few plays, we had our hands on two balls when they were in the air, and they came away with both of them. There was a fumble there on the goal line. And, all those things just, you got to make at least one of them. You want to make all of them. And just third downs were definitely something from Series 2 on that just showed up throughout the game.
Coach, you mentioned the run game. I think 3 of the last 4 games, you guys have given up over 200 yards on the ground. Is there one or a couple issues that you see consistently that's a problem in the run game, and how come you haven't seen any sort of improvement in that area?
Yeah, I mean, it's, obviously statistics are awful right now, and when you say any improvement in the area, there's been games that I felt better about, but obviously last week wasn't good, and, as the Miami game got going, that game wasn't good. And so, there are multitude of reasons. I went through some reasons last week. So if you want to talk about this specific game, this game? Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, in this game, again, I go into it and I give credit to them. I think the backs, one of the better backs in the country. He did a great job. He has a lot of missed tackles forced, and unfortunately that happened to us as well. I thought we did a little bit better job in the A and B gaps. Not 100%. They got us moved a couple times, but I thought our fits were consistently better at linebacker. But sometimes, you do. There are double teams. They call them double teams for a reason, and we try to hang in there, and we try to do a better job with the backer fitting off those doubles. Sometimes we're better than others. It just seems like the ball is finding some space, and then, there's times that we're just not doing a good enough job in the secondary of tackling. And a lot of different reasons, and I'm trying to hit some of them right there. But, when you go into the game, you say, we need to stop the run game, 1, control the tempo, 2, which the tempo really never got to a point. It was mostly of a huddle tempo from them, so that got crossed off. Then I thought the quarterback scrambling was another thing that we had to contain, and we didn't do any of those, and the quarterback ended up being more accurate than I gave him credit for throughout the game.
You mentioned some of the tackling at the second level. I know there's rules during the week of practice of how much you can hit, and is there anything more you can do to practice that or simulate that?
I mean, we've been creating live tackle drills with the DBs now for the last 4 or 5 weeks. We try to do it as much space as possible to force them to make those plays, and some of it's gotten better, some of it hasn't. And the thing in the back end, when you miss one, it's usually one-on-one. And, so, when we've played really good defense, we've made a lot of those one-on-ones. And when we haven't, and so, is it the players? Is it the technique? Is it the coaching? And the answer is yes, right? And so, I feel that we're trying to work it because I've changed tackle drills throughout the year this year. I mean, we've done live tackle drills against guys, and we're continually doing them. And then, the one missed tackle that KJ had was probably on the third down. I probably need to go back and making it a little bit more of a different situation in practice to get him to make that tackle more, And so you can overanalyze it a little bit as a coach, but that's our job, right? To analyze it, to apply it, to find different ways to make sure that he can make the play, because, I believe in Kirk. I think he is getting better, but, had that one miss on a big third down, and, that's a huge play in the game, and the game didn't fall on that play, but, each play is its own, and it creates momentum for them, and so, I watched that play, and we're going to replicate that play in practice with another form of a drill.
Adam, when you guys finally cut it to 21-11, the offense scored a touchdown. Then immediately, the next play is I think a 43-yard run with a horse collar on top of it. What happened on that play? And just overall with this season, how much does that just seem to happen when you guys, maybe if you've even played well on defense for most of the game, your offense finally scores, and then there it goes again?
Yeah,
how frustrating has that been all season? And then what specifically happened on that play?
Very frustrating. Can't breathe. And so what happened on that play, it's a crack replace. The back, we blitz it. We get a bunch of people in that place where the ball is going to get run. The back makes a great cut. Usually backs cut that thing 90 degrees, and your corner puts his foot in the ground and works it and tackles it or races out of bounds for 2 or 3 yards. That one, the back makes a great cut, and he stays vertical almost the entire play and stays in great speed and just outruns the angle. And, just shouldn't, I got, talking to Pat Surtain, who's been in that position himself, so I feel really comfortable with his ability to coach that too. And just in the moment, it created that. But I felt good about what we were trying to do in that moment. And the safety stepped down pretty aggressively, and the receiver read it, and he cracked it, and, it's a crack replace play, and the back did a good job of seeing it and making the right cut and keeping speed around the corner. And obviously the horse collar, you're coaching those because those are because you're trying to get the guy down, right? And so that's number one. Then how you get him down is 1A, and obviously we can't grab back there and can't finish like that.
What are the challenges of Notre Dame's offense, and how physical are they up front, and how much does FSU have to counter that?
They're good enough on offense, to be where they're at in this season. They've really relied on, that quarterback, familiar with the play caller. They had hired Coach Denbrock from LSU, so we've competed against him all the way back to when he was at Cincinnati. But they've relied, they've good backs, and, the quarterback is carrying the load. I think he's got 11 rushing touchdowns, so I'm not sure where that sits nationally, but I would assume it's pretty high for a good quarterback to have more rushing touchdowns than throwing touchdowns on a good team. That's probably not a usual statistic, but that's how they decided to play their offense this year. And, obviously they had one speed bump early in the year against Northern Illinois, but, from that Texas A&M game all the way through the Navy one, they've been executing when they need to on offense.
Corey mentioned that big run after the touchdown that you guys had. There was that similar one against Clemson where you guys scored a touchdown, then Phil Maffa ran a big one, and then against Duke as well. So that's 3 of those. Is there a through line to any of those 3 plays, or is it just kind of a coincidental aspect of the game?
You mean the play after our offense scores?
Correct, yeah.
I'll go back and look and try to, when our offense scores, to what they're going to run after that. There were just independent plays. I get the momentum question. I get that one, and, just poor job,
Following up on the question about physicality, Coach Norvell said he wasn't 100% happy with that department. Just how did you evaluate your team's physicality and effort throughout the game against UNC?
Yeah, I think anytime you give up 30 points, there are a lot of reasons that you don't play well, right? I'm sure there's been times in my career that maybe we've given up 30 and you felt really good about the effort and physicality, but probably not much. I thought early in the game, I thought we showed up the right way. As that game wears on, and they kept feeding the run game, I think there were times that we could have been much better. And that's my job to create that, and there are some plays out there that are obviously unacceptable, and there are unacceptable plays when a team scores. You never want to allow that, but how it goes down is still important. And so those are the things that we got to make sure that we address and either replace or correct.
We'll do a couple more.
Be a different kind of question. It's more philosophical, but when a situation happens in a game where a player, nobody wants your worst moments to be on national TV with commentators just making comments about you making a business decision or things like that. When players have moments like that, what can coaches do for them? Because not letting them know that play doesn't need to define them, that they can make the play next time, and just how do you handle those situations when they're magnified more so than a missed run fit or something like that?
Well, when you come to Florida State, you have to want that, not the criticism, right? But you can't want to play and compete at a school like Florida State and hope for all the attention and all the accolades without taking any of the downside with it, right? That's part of the business. You're going to get that in anything. The higher profile, the more fame, but the more criticism. So I think that's accepted. You need to understand that, and you can't want the positive, but not deal with the negative. I watch TV games to feel tempo and things of that nature for the opponents. I usually don't go back and watch ours until the end of the year, and then I usually use them because there's different video angles to teach off of, less the commentary. But there's a lot of, in this business, there's a lot of commentators that you deal with all the time in a good way, and you develop good relationships. So, they're asking you questions and constantly, and but if somebody's receiving criticism on our team, and it could just be about socially, whatever it all is. That's a job of a coach too, right? Is to teach them how to tackle in open space, but also how to rebound from things that maybe they're not proud about. And one action doesn't define you as a person for the rest of your life. But if those actions continue to happen, obviously, then we're still in the business of production. So you've got to, for us as coaches, you're constantly trying to support. But support doesn't always equal playing time, right? And so we're just, trying to help be there for everybody in the program to make sure we're helping them along their journey. But their journey affects our journey, and we got to make sure those things line up.
Go to Jordan for the last one.
Coach, just really quickly, Fentrell only played 11 snaps on Saturday, his lowest output of the season. Was that a coach's decision, or was he just banged up?
Yeah, he couldn't continue, so we had to get Quinn in there more, and then Jabril Rawls played a good amount. So hopefully we'll have Fen back here quickly. He's been pretty reliable for us. But, yeah, he only played the first two series. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
See y'all.